to their management teams. After much speculation this week, Jimmy Barry Murphy stood down from his post as manager of the Cork senior hurling team. Offaly reinstated Michael Bond as their manager after Pat Fleury stood down during the summer. Marty Morrissey followed the stories during this week.
For over 3 decades, Jimmy Barry Murphy has been synonymous with Cork GAA teams. His incredible repertoire of skills elevated him to a status that few will ever equal. To all intents and purposes, he was not just Cork's, but Ireland's first mega GAA star of the modern era. Renowned and admired as a hurler, he exploded on the inter-county football scene in 1973, when he was just 19.
He first came to prominence with the Cork footballers in 1973, and if you like, he came from nowhere in a senior sense, even though he had a very good background at minor level. And it was later on then that he made his name as a hurler, and of course he went on to achieve great success in hurling, and it reached a stage eventually where he opted for hurling.
Jimmy Barry Murphy's love of hurling enticed him into management, and 3 successful years as minor coach led to an offer of the Cork senior coach position.
I was asked to do it after we won the Minor All-Ireland in 1995, and I suppose some people might have thought it was a bit soon because I hadn't been involved in the senior team prior to that, but you know, I considered it a great honour, and I felt that it was time to do it because I mightn't be offered it again in latter years, so I decided with Tom Cashman to have a go at it.
You really had a baptism of fire, though, at the beginning when you faced Limerick in that awful day in Páirc Uí Chaoimh.
Well, it seems a long time ago now and well documented since, but it was a very, very bad start certainly, and I suppose it certainly showed us the magnitude of the task that lay ahead of us in trying to bring Cork back to the top, and an awful lot of hard work lay ahead of us, but you know, lucky enough we had our day in the sun later on.
It took a lot of courage and a lot of conviction to lift Cork from the doldrums in 1996, bearing in mind that they were beaten quite comprehensively by Limerick. I think he worked hard to build the squad. I think he was probably fortunate in that Cork won 2 All-Ireland under-21 titles. But at the end of the day, I think his own personal skills, which I mentioned, his ability to get the best out of players, I think his faith in players. If we remember that against Waterford last year in the first round, they picked 6 newcomers to Championship hurling, and at the time he might have regarded it as a bit of a gamble, but it certainly paid off, and they stuck with these players. And for each game in the campaign, they started with the same 15 players. So by doing so, they gave players confidence, and that was repaid ultimately.
I think one of the abiding memories from my point of view was in the Munster final in '99 against Clare, and I saw Jimmy shed a tear in his speech before the players took the field, and to me that showed to me what being a manager of the Cork team meant to Jimmy Barry Murphy.
The highlight had to be, of course, last year winning the All-Ireland.
Well, it certainly was. Winning the All-Ireland, beating Kilkenny in the final was a fantastic achievement for all of us involved in it, you know, but I always felt that Clare were the team to beat in Munster over the period of time while I was in charge, and they were the benchmark that we had set down as a team to emulate. And when we beat Clare in the Munster final in Thurles, we really played well in the day, and I really felt that we were back in the big time that day. There were tough times along the way when we, you know, doubted ourselves at times, but I did the job to the best of my ability, and certainly the players in Cork gave me everything that they could have given, and I couldn't have asked for any more from the players.
I think from a player's point of view, the players will miss Jimmy that he's gone now. He was a great friend to all the players, but I suppose the Cork hurling team is going to continue, and the Cork team will continue without Jimmy Barry Murphy.
Well, it's certainly the end of an era, because I suppose not only in Cork but nationally, Jimmy was a household name, very, very popular with players and opponents and with the public at large. And given that it's over 30 years since he first came on the scene, it marks the end of a very unusual and a very significant career.
Contrasting vividly with Cork's hurling management stability is the case of Offaly. In 11 years, 8 managers have said hello, and more importantly, goodbye almost as quickly. For instance, Pat Fleury, having guided his county to an All-Ireland final this season, resigned after just 1 year in charge. Michael Bond's return to the faithful county for 2001 means 9 managers in 11 short years. Why so many changes in personnel for the top job?
I suppose we have to be honest, and if a manager is not doing the job as we see fit, we would certainly replace them. But that hasn't been, you know, we have had managers that said, I would like to retire at this stage, I would like to resign, and I would always accept that.
I found myself in a position really that wasn't really in the position to give the same commitment as I felt was required. And knowing the situation now better than I did perhaps 12 months ago, I decided that there is no point in trying to do something if, you know, the full commitment isn't there. And it does involve an enormous commitment, and more especially when you live outside the county.
I suppose maybe the last number of years there's huge pressure put on managers where there's a lot expected of them, and maybe there's too much made about managers to the degree that they're put under tremendous pressure.
I have to forget 98 and 99, and so have the players, and so have the office of the board and the supporters. I mean, all we can do is do as best we can. The Offaly players, I think they're training under Pat Fleury since last November. So they're right into Christmas, from January right until now, and they're still playing their county championship, so that they'll have no break at all. So I mean, I just read something there recently what Johnny Pickleton said, that they'll find it hard to have an appetite for it. Now, they're getting a well-deserved break in Thailand on the 10th, so hopefully when they come back, and, you know, and we'll start training possibly the end of January, then we have the league, and then we have the Leinster campaign then after that.
What would be your targets?
To win the All-Ireland, and anything short of that, I would consider myself a failure.
Marty Morrissey reporting there. Tomas Mulcahy has jumped up from studio at the GAA draw and come up to join us. It's been an interesting week, Tomas. Let's start with Jimmy Barry. What's the impact been in the clubs and throughout the GAA community in Cork?
I suppose initially when you look at it, and the announcement came that Jimmy said that he was going to step down, it was one of disappointment, and I suppose the players and the team themselves will be the ones that will be most disappointed, because they had built up a rapport with Jimmy over the last 5 years, and certainly everybody felt that Jimmy was a player's man, and they got on so well together that there was never any talk of dissension within the camp, and that was a great starting block to build a team on. And Jimmy had all those characteristics of being charismatic. He was very good at dealing with people and people communication skills, and he was fantastic at his job, and it showed with the way that players went out on the field. During the week, a lot of people in Cork were said like that maybe he should give it another year. I look at Jimmy and his playing career, and I played with him in 1986, and he was only 33 years of age at that stage, and he stepped away from the limelight at that stage. Jimmy himself, I think he knows when the time is right, when to step away. Yeah,
player's man and legend. I mean, just how much of an impact is it going to have? Like, can they replace him?
I mean, it's not an easy thing to say that he can be replaced overnight, but like Cork hurling has had so many great men down through the years. Sure. I mean, Cork hurling is built on the success of previous guys that went before Jimmy as well, and the new guy that comes on the block next week will have a big task in hand as well to build up and to do what Jimmy has in the past. But in Cork, tradition is there, and tradition means an awful lot, and I'm sure the players themselves will put Jimmy to the back of their minds now at this stage, and he'll be a friend to all of theirs, and build on the campaign for next year, whoever takes over the helm.
I was going to ask you that. Who is going to take over?
Well, it's a matter for the county board at this stage, Ryle. It will be announced on Tuesday night by the county board executive. It seems to be a two-horse race between Bertie Murphy and Tom Cashman at this stage.
Has Jimmy Barry gone away for good, or is this just maybe a year or two out of the game? Will we see him back, do you think?
Hopefully not. I mean, Jimmy has other interests in life as well. I mean, it's a big commitment at senior and the county level, and Jimmy might go back to his own club, St Finbarrs, or maybe do something at underage level within Cork as well. I mean, that's where he built his success from. I mean, it wasn't overnight that he became a successful Cork manager. He's been involved with his own club, St Finbarrs, at minor level, and they won 4 minor county championships with him before he took on the Cork minor job, and then went up to senior level. So maybe he'll take a break for a while. It's a deserved break at this stage. I mean, he's been in the helm for 5 years at senior level and 3 years at minor level, and it's a long time in anybody's career.
You talk about the pressures, and I wonder about the pressures of the Offaly job, because you hear 11 years, 8 managers, and 9th manager now with Michael Bond coming back. They've had success. It's not like that this is a county that's been struggling to perform, and yet we see the turnover of managers there. Why is it?
But that's what makes the GA so special, Ryle, you know, at the end of the day. I mean, people, you're judged on your success, you know, and people, okay, say it's great to be taking part in Gaelic games, but everybody's out there to win, and winning the All-Ireland at the end of the day is where you're judged on, and you're judged in Cork, and you're judged in Offaly on that basis as well. And Michael Bond has done a terrific job when he was there in '98, and it's bringing maybe a breath of fresh air back into Offaly again at this stage, and the players themselves have been around a long, long time as well, and I mean, they deserve a break at this stage as well, and I'm sure the pressures are there on managers all the time. I mean, it isn't that
we talk about the pressures on players, and that's highlighted all the time, but there is massive pressure on these guys, isn't there?
There is, but I mean, you look at it and people would just look at maybe the clips we've shown on Tis All-Ireland final day where the real pressure is. But like it starts, I mean, tonight as we speak, and the draws have been made, and people at home are probably gathering preparation or for the next number of weeks for winter training, and they're playing in southeastern leagues or kind of practice games at this stage. They're games that people don't ever see the managers attending. They've got to go to club matches, see the former players winning club games. You know, you've got to be at all those. So, like, there's a huge build-up before you actually go.
Should they be paid?
I think there's an imbalance there right at the moment, because there's a two-way system at the moment. Some managers are being paid out there, and it's no hidden secret at this stage, and the other managers are not being paid. I could categorically say at this stage, Jimmy Barry Murphy didn't get a penny for his time training Cork at this stage, and there's a lot of managers out there within traditional counties that don't get paid for the money, and if you ask them in the morning, do they want to be paid, I'm sure that some of them would say they don't, being honest with you. I think you open a can of worms if you go down that road, you start paying managers. Our counties then going to try by success. What are the players' reaction going to be at that stage? Why don't I get something out of it? You know, and are you going to try buying success? I mean, at the end of the day, if they're looked after well within their own individual county by the county board, and they're on good expenses and there's no loss of income, I think most managers will be very, very happy.
Tomas, thank you very much. Before we close the programme, we'll